Hello everyone, and welcome to a short little series I'm going to be doing in the run up to FIFA 16. Basically just going to be going through players that I think will be good buys on the career mode, basically players that are going to grow quite a lot and get a quite high potential. First off, I've got Mbolo here for Basel. He's only 18 years old and he's 76 overall. If you look at his card last year, he started off as a 66 and had a 17 growth. Basically meaning if he gets anywhere near that this year, he's just going to be an absolute animal. If he gets 17 growth this year, he'll be on 91 overall, which is obviously just a joke. Even if he only grew about 10 or so this year, he'd still be an absolute ridiculous player. Obviously got insane pace for a striker, and you mix that with his strength of 85, and that is just deadly. His finishing might not be the best for a striker, but obviously he's still going to grow, and he's going to get in a ridiculous amount of positions anyway. And seeing as he only plays for Basel, he shouldn't be too expensive to pick up either, especially on the wage budget. Next up is a player that you could say is in here mainly due to bias, since he does play for Spurs, who I support. But I've put Dele Alli in here. He doesn't have the greatest time potential to go with his age, but if you look at his card last year, he started off as a 55 and had a growth of 21. Now if you look at his card this year, obviously he's got quite a bit of an increase to 67 this year. So if he gets anywhere near that sort of growth, he should still be quite a ridiculous player. And if you look at his stats individually as well, he is a really well-rounded centre mid as it is. And if all his stats grow quite consistently, he should be quite a ridiculous player later on in career modes. Next up we've got Ruben Neves for Porto. He started off as a 69 overall last year and went up to 83. He still is only 18 years old as well, now that he's 74 overall, which should easily mean he'll get into the maybe mid to high 80s this year. And again, sort of like Dele Alli, his stats are really well rounded for a centre mid. He's got barely anything below 70 overall, and he's also got quite good dribbling and passing stats for a defensive midfielder. Next up we've got Sanabria, I think is how you say it, plays for Sporting Gijón in the La Liga. And if you look at him last year, he started off as a 64 and had a growth of 13. Which might not be the best. If he has that sort of growth this year, he should be able to get into the sort of low to mid 80s. But for a player that's only 73 overall, he should be quite cheap, and especially playing for such a small club. And he has got pretty good all-round stats, so for maybe a lower league Premiership team or maybe even a Championship team, he might be a player that's worth picking up at the start of a career mode. Then we move on here to the last two players in this video, both of which play for Ajax. The first one is Bazaar, I think is how you say it. He was a 64 last year when he was 17, and he had a growth of 18, which is just ridiculous, up to an 82 overall. He's got an upgrade this year of 11 overall, which is pretty crazy, and if he gets anywhere near that growth this year, he's easily going to get into the mid to high 80s. So definitely one that might be worth picking up. And again, like with the other centre mids, really well all-round his stats, especially his on-the-ball stats, got quite good pace and quite good dribbling for such a low-rated centre mid. Then finally we've got Riedewald, I think is how you might say it. He was a left back last year at 64 overall and had a growth of 16 up to about 80. And that was when he was 18 years old. He's got an increase of 9 overall to 75 this year. So starting off as a 19-year-old of that overall, we should easily get into the low to mid 80s. And again, he's got good stats to begin with. He's got very good pace for a centre-back, decent enough dribbling on the ball as well, and then quite good defending and physical stats. Definitely looks like one that might be worth picking up this year. So yeah, those are the first few players that I managed to pick out. Obviously there was a lot more, especially some much more obvious ones like Martin Odegaard, people like that. But anyway, leave a like if you enjoyed that video. Let me know in the comments what players you think will be good for a career mode next year, and I'll be sure to check them out before the next video.